Hello everyone, Richard here, and welcome to my channel, Calvin Wazoo. And I've got a lot of records to show you. Just briefly, I hadn't been buying very many, at least in walk-in stores. I had some records that I was ordering through the mail, and they were coming in, and I've been showing those, but I hadn't been going to the record store as much because earlier in the year I had a series of medical bills that all came at once. I mean, I needed new orthotics, I got new glasses, and then I ended up having a crown put in, and that just really pinched the cash flow. And then I got everything, paid off. And so what did I do? I dropped a ton of money in record stores this past weekend for record store day, and then the weekend before too. I was like, oh my God, I spent all this money on this weekend. I'm not gonna have any money for record store day. But there were a few items in record store day that I wanted to get, and so my plan was, okay, I'm not gonna show up until around noon, and if they still have some of the titles that I want, all right, then I'll pick them up. And they still had some of the titles I wanted. But anyway, let's get started. I'm not going to talk very much about some of these because there will be videos devoted to some of these at a later date. But, I got a few anthologies of, older 50s and 60s rock and country music because I wanted these in my collection, and stroke of luck, I found copies that were in really, really good condition and for very reasonable prices. So one is, Buddy Holly's Greatest Hits. I mean, there's a zillion renditions of this one. This is on the MCA Coral label, but this has got, all the very big hits, great sounding record. So now Buddy Holly is in my collection. Also, I saw this one, Eddie Cochran. This was a cutout on this pretty neat looking United Artists label. The cover is in really, really rough shape. This was part of the legendary Master Series #4 that United Artists released. This was a reissue of the late 1970s, I believe, but again, really good collection, 2 albums, of all his hits, and great condition that I found. I've been looking for the debut album of Kenny Rogers in the first edition, and I haven't been able to find one. I mean, I know it's easy to order in Discogs, but a lot of times I want to find something in a local record store. I did see this. This is another reissue of Kenny Rogers in the first edition's Greatest Hits on Reprise. So again, really good one. Ruby, Don't Take Your Love to Town, Just Dropped In, Tell It All Brother. Great songs, a good compilation of when Kenny Rogers was with the first edition. And then I saw this one too, the Patsy Cline story. I'd been looking for Patsy Cline, an anthology of her material. And there was one in particular that I have on CD that I was looking for, but I never, ever, ever saw it. And then I saw this double album release, and on MCA Rainbow label, and great collection of songs, and again in really, really nice condition. But this is a new copy of The Shadows of Night with Gloria. So I've been looking for this also for a long time, and this is a reissue. It's brand new. I haven't opened it and listened to it yet. It's on the Sundazed label. But yeah, Gloria, despite being a Van Morrison song, really sent these kids, for all practical purposes, into the stratosphere. They got their start in Chicago suburbs, and they would play high school gigs and dance parties, you know, when they were still in high school, 15, 16 years old. Very, very big. And they have a deal where the at least one of the founding members is, I don't know if he's the only one, but Jim Sons or Sones, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. But you know, they've got a Facebook page, and they still do gigs playing all their hits. So this one I brought up during a, you know, some questions during a live stream with Rachel the Music Man, and got some answers from some other people because, you know, I bought this a while ago and I just never opened it. Ritual de lo Habitual. This is the Rocktober Rhino release on the Pearl vinyl. They call it Pearl vinyl, but it kind of looks like a dirty gray vinyl. And the reason I was brought it up is, I mean, I paid, I don't know, $30 for it, if that much. I don't even think it was that much. And I saw one that was also a Rhino release for sale for $100, and I'm like, whoa, did this appreciate? And no, that's a black vinyl release, and there's something else about that release that made it more, I don't want to say valuable, but, you know, pricier. So this is, I didn't get lucky. I didn't buy something like that. That's happened before, but, and I did listen to it finally, and of course it's in a really good sounding, in my opinion. It's a very good sounding record. Then I got these at half price. These are EPs by Anthony and the Johnsons. This is Another World. It's on white vinyl. The label is Secretly Canadian. And then I also, this one was half price also. So I got these for like $5-7. This is Anthony and the Johnsons, You Are My Sister with Boy George. This is a black vinyl release, which this song, You Are My Sister, also appears on a full-length album. So these were released in 2005. This one was 2005. These were sealed, unopened, 2005 issues. This one was released, the one on the white vinyl, 2003? No, 2008. Anyway, but starting in 2016, Anthony, who was born as Anthony Haggerty, started going by the name Anohni, Anohni, A-N-O-H-N-I, I'm not sure. So she has completed at least the mental and spiritual transformation to she, which apparently she reluctantly wanted to adopt as her pronoun, partly because she is often used very derisively in the gay world among gay men. But political issues pushed her to adopt the new name and accept the pronoun she. Wonderful music and beautiful voice. It's very, very different. And if you haven't listened to, and there are some new releases out by Anohni, so if you want to hear more of her material, you will need to look up both Anthony and the Johnsons and Anohni. Then I also picked up this. This is a compilation of different bands covering the songs that are from the Cramps' Really Bad Music for Really Bad People. It's a great, great compilation on kind of a green marble kind of vinyl, or yeah. And but yeah, great stuff, just as solid and good as the release by the Cramps. This one I felt lucky stumbling upon. This is Pink Fairies Neverland. This is on the Music on Vinyl, so which puts out really good pressings. Polydor label, but the Music on Vinyl pressing. And this is a band that goes back to the London underground scene of the late 60s. I mean, you've got Twink, who is the drummer, who got the name Twink because he had all this hair, and fans were sending him, the female fans, I guess, were sending him this shampoo for his hair. It was very curly, like a natural perm, and the product name was Twink, and so that's when he decided to adopt the name. But he's played with the Pretty Things. I mean, all these players have been involved, with each other. Soft Machine, Pretty Things, I think Soft Machine. And then, of course, the Pink Fairies. And, of course, nowadays, twink is a term among the gay community to refer to generally young, thin gay men between the ages of roughly 17 to 23, 24. So, yes, if you're older than that, even if you're gloriously thin, you're no longer a twink. This is an old Record Store Day issue that I saw. I have been looking for this. This is Songs for Drella, in which John Cale and Lou Reed got back together despite their falling out way earlier in the career of the Velvet Underground. But it was an album dedicated to Andy Warhol. So I haven't opened it yet. So this is a limited limited edition. But when I saw it, I grabbed it because I tell you, it's not something that's fairly easy to find. Then I also picked up Hawkwind. This is a Hawkwind album, Quark, Strangers, and Charm. It's a promo copy. Nothing special about this being a promo copy. But I'd been interested in Hawkwind because there are a lot of people in the vinyl community who have talked about Hawkwind, have been raving about it. I really do. I've listened to this one. Or no, this is the one I have not listened to. I also picked up this one, Hawkwind, Hall of the Mountain Grill. So yeah, this is one that I did listen to, as it is stored like I normally do when I take a record out on the Liberty label. I do really, really like this. However, I'm also going to say that in many respects, Hawkwind is reductive, and that they really weren't. I mean, there's a couple songs on here that are really, really innovative, but other songs on here, to me, are not any more innovative than what Pink Floyd was doing at the time in the late 1960s with Syd Barrett. And some other bands. So I mean, it's still really, really good. The musicianship and the songs are really, really good, but I really don't think of them as being innovative and leading the charge in terms of psychedelic and space rock. There were others that came before them, and they innovated in some ways, but perhaps that's why they are a band that is kind of under the radar, because they really weren't leading the charge in that genre. I don't know. That's just my opinion. Well, you can leave your reaction in the Down Under. I became interested in some Depeche Mode again because, some things I was hearing from other people in the VC talking about, there's this dark, brooding period that wasn't quite as popish, despite them being, a synth pop band. So one of the recommendations was this one, Music for the Masses. I'd like to get Violator, but every copy of Violator I see, there's this new issue And it's really expensive. I mean, but, records are expensive because it's an expensive process to press music into vinyl. It's not a cheap process. But anyway, I picked that up, and I do enjoy it. I do like it, and I hope to get Violator soon, and one or two others are on my list. Now, I came across some Zappa records that I needed to add to my collection. I may have them on CD, but I did not have them on vinyl. And so I got two here. There's the London Symphony Orchestra Volume 1, and then the London Symphony Orchestra Volume 2. So when this was first released, it was initially released as two separate albums, a couple of years apart, and then it was again reissued as a complete double album set. So being, a Zappa completist, I wanted to have the issues when it was released separately. I will, of course, eventually get around to doing a video that will have a more in-depth look into the music on this and what was going on at the time. I also picked up this vinyl copy of Them or Us. So the two record set on the Barking Pumpkin. It's a good album. However, there are some issues with it again that I will talk about more in depth when I get to this record in terms of the discography when I do a video on that. And then another one is this one, Finer Moments. So this is a release that came out of the vault. It was also on Barking Pumpkin Records when it was released. This was initially released on CD, and then later it was reissued on vinyl. Sometimes it's the other way around. At first it's released on vinyl, and then a CD issue is released. I'll have a separate video about this where I will talk a lot more. However, of the ones I just showed you, of Them or Us or the LSO recordings, this one you should buy if you ever see it. And I did find it sealed, unopened, brand new copy. And it was 19, oh no, my brain is 1982? No. Sorry for the delay here. Oh, this was released in 2012. Sorry, but the music is from the it's from all over. But it's got some great stuff on here. And as I said, if you are interested in Frank Zappa, this is one, if you see it, I recommend you pick it up. This is a solid release from that time. Now, this one I saw, I instantly grabbed it because I knew that Steve Carlson had talked about it, and this is Madhu Mokhtar, A Freak Victim, and wow, this album, very psychedelic, very, very spacey, beautiful music. This is a keeper. If I were ever to cull my collection and sell a lot, and some, eventually I may do some of that with a lot of the records I have. This one I'm going to keep though until the day I die. This is a great record, and I hear that he released one a couple years before this one that's even better. But I tell you, this, was a solid recommendation from Steve Carlton. I am telling you, if you see this, pick it up, if at all. Lyrically, when you read the translation of the lyrics, and I'm not sure what language it is in, if it's Arabic or some other African language, and Arabic is not an African language, excuse me on that, but if if there was some other, language. So translated in English, the lyrics look really trite and hackneyed, which is really kind of the same thing. But when you listen to the singing and the music, it is so beautiful. It's transcending. So yes, really, really strong recommendation on this one. And then for a long time, I have not seen releases by Connor O'Brien and his project Villagers. And I saw this, so I grabbed it. Wow, another really, really solid album. The Art of Pretending to Swim is the record. If you're unfamiliar with Villagers, it is really amazing. And one of the things I really appreciate, it's kind of a little, his first release was more folky, and then he became more involved with, adding electronic instrumentation to his music. But lyrically and stylistically, it's still Connor J. O'Brien singing about things that might sound not like, they're not pop title or pop subjects. He's another artist, I believe, who has dealt with or is quite familiar with depression, and a lot of that comes through in his music, but very beautifully. He doesn't sing about depression in a despondent way, like, some morbid or morose sense to it. It is very much an inside story, and I really like it and really relate to it. He also sings quite a bit in terms of criticizing the church, but again, not so obliquely. He is very musical and wonderful literary stabs at Catholicism in particular, he's Irish, are done at the way people can devote themselves to a religion so much that they forget to live. It's the best way, I think, to put it. Now, for Record Store Day, as I was mentioning, I didn't go until like afternoon, and just to see what was left. And so I picked up some things. This one here, Monk, Palo Alto, the Custodians Mix. Really, it's on impulse. So the general story is this kid, who eventually went on to work as a promoter for Bill Graham, put together this concert for his high school, Palo Alto High School. And so this was 1969, I think it was. And he got Thelonious Monk to show up, and then he got some other local bands, and the custodian for setting up some of the advertisers, I think it was, got permission to record the concert. Now, what recording device he was using, being a school, it was probably a reel-to-reel, but I think there was only one mic used, and the mic was placed quite close to the saxophonist. So we've got the, here's, the insert here is like, this was the original promoting, a copy of the original promotion poster that the kid put together. Here's a copy of the original program for the concert. So they had Jimmy Mark's Afro Ensemble. Then there was the Thelonious Monk and his quartet, which included Charlie Rouse, on saxophone. And so the microphone was placed pretty close to Charlie Rouse, and so that comes through very strong, but you can still hear the drums, the bass, and of course Thelonious Monk playing piano. It is an amazing, sometimes these live recordings that are done on simple recording equipment sound, they're not real good in terms of capturing all the instruments on equal levels. And this is not necessarily on equal levels, but the levels come through so that you can hear the instruments. It sounds absolutely great. This is a really great release here for Record Store Day. Who the janitor was and who the recording engineer was apparently remains a mystery. There is a booklet in here that goes through the entire story. It's a very well packaged, very nice cardboard, stock. It's not glossy, and on the impulse label. So that was a good Record Store Day. I picked up also Iggy Pop Live in the channel in Boston. It's on this pink splatter and then the yellow and green splatter. And with splatter vinyl, every record is going to look different because, as my understanding, the splatter is hand created. So everyone, looks different in others. Some, the pictures here, that looks really great. Mine, don't look quite that great. But back to the record itself, sounds really, really excellent. Most of the songs, there are some songs here from the Stooges, but most of the songs are post Lust for Life, which were not very well received records or albums, such as what was that one, Instinct, and some of these others. But it's a rockin' concert. It is really, really good. So yeah, this was also a Record Store Day exclusive that I picked up. I'm getting close to the end here, finally. Haven't listened to this yet, but I got volume 2 of The Police from their Atlanta concert in 1983. So I'll be giving that a listen. Volume 1 at both the stores I went to were sold out. Would love to get a volume 1 because I'd be really interested in hearing a show that was more focused on Regatta de Blanc and Outlandis d'Amour. Although there are some songs from Outlandis d'Amour, is there any from Regatta de Blanc? Yeah, there's one here from Regatta de Blanc, at least one. But it's more focused on the Synchronicity tour. There's only like one on here, I believe, from the one before Synchronicity, Ghost in the Machine. But anyway, I'll be listening to that. And then the last one here I got is a Residence Record Store Day release. Leftovers again. So this is, some old, older archived material, still sealed. I'm debating if I'm going to open it and listen to it. I might decide to keep it sealed and just hold on to it and, see what happens price-wise. And, maybe I'll put it up for sale. I got a lot of Residents I like the Residents, but they're also a band that you gotta be in the right mood, to listen and appreciate. And yeah, hell, I'll probably open it and play it at least once. But anyway, and I'm not sure if this is a Record Store Day exclusive or if it's just a Record Store Day debut. But anyway, there you go. You can see I was very, very busy in the last couple of weeks buying records. I had all this pent up energy to go buy records, and wow, I really did. So yeah, hey, leave some comments in the Down Under about your Record Store Day experience. Again, maybe you're like me and you don't go like at the crack of dawn to try and get things. You show up later and see what's left because I'm an old man and standing in line outside of a record store is not necessarily something I want to do. Standing in line to buy a concert ticket is not something I necessarily want to do anymore. But anyway, yeah, leave some comments in the down under. Talk about your finds, new record finds as well, or any of the ones that I showed. Maybe you have very contrary opinions to what I was saying, perhaps about Hawkwind or some of the others. And don't forget that I do have a contest going on. I'll have a link in the down under to the contest video so that you know about that. The contest ends Father's Day, and I have noticed that a couple more entries have come in, so I'll be checking them out. And always remember to pray for the people inside your head, for they won't be there when you're dead.